Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Conolwork.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, the action's already kicking off over here on Slutsk. So, Rang, who's bringing what to this particular party?
On left hand side in the blue, we have Yabo playing 5th Cav with a balance or Maverick income. And on the right hand side in red, we have Yamin with an exclamation mark playing 126 Mountain Core with a balanced income.
So, it's been a while since we've seen the 126th. 5th, we know how these guys play, but, mountain troops basically over here for the 126th. Anything else as a surprise, or no?
No, not really. Both pretty even matchups, more elite infantry divisions with not a whole lot of ground assets, but a good amount of aerial support. Seems to be pretty interesting, especially on a map like Slutsk with how open it is. This is usually a map which, dominates for the tank player, but there's not really many tanks for either player to really take advantage of.
The other interesting thing here is the Hurricane, unfortunately, could not get its rocket run online in time here, so honestly, a lot of the 5th is able to unload and get set up, which is very, very fortunate for them. That could have put them in a really hard place to see, a couple machine guns and these snipers really kind of locked down.
Yeah, it's a very ballsy push here from Yabo. You usually don't see people try to push the southern area, so Hardor knocks out BT7 here. Not a bad kill, but yeah, this is because there's not a whole lot of tanks you have to worry about. You can do these ballsy maneuvers, and especially with the Romanian snipers backing you up.
Well, and not for nothing too, but we have these light P2s. I mean, those guys are not pushovers either. I mean, for what they are, of course. But actually, one second. Let's take a quick look over here in the north, because the north is kind of unfolding kind of as we expect it to, which is a bit unfortunate to see. But ABs, I mean, 126, it's not really known for its infantry AT, certainly not in the A phase.
Yeah, so just those lightly armoured vehicles, which you get very early on, the ABs, the Luxes are going to provide some excellent fire support for Yabo. You're up north, you definitely could use a little bit more fire support, as Yamin is pushing pretty hard, and that's a very good play. If he can kick Yabo off that hill, it's very hard to get a foothold back on it.
Yeah, but I like this kind of simple expedient of throwing down an MG in return.
Yeah.
No, it sounds ridiculous, but like to a certain extent, you don't need to invest a whole lot because the 126 buries you under troops. They don't bury you in high quality fighting, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I mean, the troops are pretty good, but they're not huge scrotch, so you kind of have to make up with the lack of numbers with more numbers.
Well, now I'm fascinated. Hurricane, is he coming in? But Hurricane Rocket Plane, second one's coming in here, not doing a whole lot though. Second, oh no, he's unmasking, I think, yep, that's why. For 25 mil.
Reminded me a lot of SD44, the first Polish Hurricane play. You just have Hurricanes strafing everything in the first 10 minutes of the match.
Oh, that was awful. And there goes the AB. Light vehicles going down, and that's pretty much how it kind of stinks right there.
Yeah.
Please.
I don't know, all I had to say was yeah. Yeah.
He's a man of few words, folks, but the ones that he does say are, always well struck and well counted. Down to the south, we see these DP Grupas, and it has been a hot second since we've seen these guys. These are basically Russian Bren groups, of course. For some reason, I always feel that they tend to hold themselves a little bit better than Bren groups, but maybe that's just kind of observational bias.
No, that's a good observation, because they have 3 DPs and semi-autos compared to the Trin Bren guns, so they are actually really good troops for holding positions, just due to the amount of automatic firepower they can slap down range. And for only 20 points, they're pretty decent.
Now, forgive me, did you say twin DPs or 3 DPs?
3 DPs.
Oh no, there's only 2, sir.
No, they have 3.
Going
to strictly DP?
Oh, they're going to strictly DP. I was looking at the DP Grupas. So
okay.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, that's another type. That's another type of DP group. They have a lot of DP groups. These mountain troops.
Oh, let's talk about all things they love in terms of that DP. But this is a family stream, so we can't say too much about that. But no, you're absolutely right. The not Gonostrakovi, but Gonostroki over here. These guys have a ridiculous amount of firepower, and like you said, not really cheap as chips, but they ain't too much more expensive than a bag or two. So
no, they're pretty decently valued. But the problem is they don't have a whole lot of troops behind their squad. So in attrition fights, especially against Romanians, just have some not Hungarian beefy squads, but still a little bit of beef and meat behind those Romani. They do, handle pretty well in infantry fights.
You know, I remember when the Romanians came out, my first thought was, they're working with Hotchkiss guns from the First World War. And then I was like, wait a second, these things are actually pretty solid.
Yeah, that's my thought too. I saw the Romanians and just looking at it from like the base level, it's like, oh, this stuff seems really mediocre. They have a really nice 75mm anti-tank gun, but apart from that, it's like, this is all just kind of like German captured equipment. But as we see, Romanians are pretty popular, divisions to play. They're pretty decent for the most part, and their infantry slaps. Like, unsurprisingly, surprisingly I should say, they do slap, and they don't even need STGs.
Interestingly, right now, we are seeing that the Romanians have put a giant hole in the lines in the southern side here. They have been able to push through and seize an awful lot of territory. They are actually probably going to take the southern town.
Yeah,
15-9?
This is such a weird maneuver to see on this map. You don't see his forest being taken at all, or really pushing like along a southern central position. If Yabo can shore up that forest with some anti-tank and some emplacements, he'll be in a really good position, because that's a major breakthrough right, yeah.
Exactly. PBI don't take the southern side very easily. You have to have a lot of armored support. It doesn't work.
Oh yeah, I think he got away with it because he's fighting against a division without a whole lot of armored support, as a few T-34-76s down south would have pretty much shut that thing down.
Well, we do have a light tank push up in the northern side, or at least a light tank assembly. We have 3 BT-7s coming up behind the front lines. We have an A-20 Boston to kind of reveal the weak spots in the line here. But, I guess I'm surprised we haven't seen a whole lot of the Romanian air support just yet.
Yeah.
I guess then again, they haven't really needed it, though, either, so...
Yeah, it's been investing very heavy in the ground troops. It's honestly, with a Maverick deck, you really do need to invest a bit heavier in ground troops earlier on. If you invest too much in aircraft, you're not going to have those ground troops to take the territory. You kind of want to bring them out a little bit later once you've shored up, a good chunk of land.
Now, I'm watching this Hurricane come in here, and I wonder, would these points have been better spent on more initial troops?
Probably. I think some more troops down south to shore up that southern defense would have definitely helped out. It's kind of the problem with investing with airplanes so early on, is that, like I just said, you lose out on getting those very important ground troops and those very important early skirmishes, and then you just get buggered like that if you allow the enemy to break through.
Well, indeed, we're working right now with a 15-9. Trying to see if there's any kind of armored support down south. No. I wonder if he's running off the southern side, because kind of figuring, you know what? You take that last flag down there, big deal. You're not going to do a whole lot more other than that. If I can hold the center and hold the north, I should be able to balance it out. And yeah. I have to wonder if there is a little bit of value in that. Not a ton, but a little bit.
I think, well, Yamin can play a long game, so he's playing balance. So he just needs to survive to like the 20-25 minute mark. If he can capture one of these flags up north, he can at least bring it down to a +1 bleed, which he can survive a +1 bleed, but a +2 at this rate, he's not going to be in a good position. He could also have to get one of the flags down south just by the road, yeah. Just a few little infantry squads will easily get that under control. But he's going full on down south, actually. The BT-7's coming around to flank. Yabo didn't manage to secure that area, so I feel like he's going to lose this very quickly.
Unless, of course, it's 45 mil who's watching the road.
Oh, yes.
Oh, gosh, that BT-7 doesn't know how close to death he's coming. Oh, now he knows. No, he doesn't? Wow, this is quite curious. And then Vizorii over here coming on in with those anti-tank grenades. So, those are the Magnum ones, weren't they? The ones that kind of hurled the streamers out the back?
Yeah, it's... Yes, and when they blew up, there was like a bunch of confetti as well.
I know right now you're playing it as a sarcastic joke here, but like, hand to God, I remember learning about the first time. One BT-7 going down. Is that the courtesy... Good lord, what the heck was that from? Oh, it was the receipt, down at the bottom of that. That's... Wow, okay. But no, I mean, I remember the day I learned about them myself, I was like, no one would be stupid enough to have that. And I was like, they were stupid enough to have that. How about that?
Right, like the magnetic grenade, which the Germans used, had like streamers coming out of it when you threw it?
Yes, to stabilize it in flight, because it was meant to be used from a greater distance, so you could throw it, and streamers came out the back. to
Oh, I
stabilize
never.
it in flight. It
I,
was
wa-
like a shuttlecock, basically. Yeah.
I always thought then like you were meant to literally just run up to the tank and stick it to it, maybe like chuck it at short distance
Oh,
and hope for the best. But I didn't realize they try to actually make it better for long range. I mean, it makes sense. You don't want to get too close to a tank in the end of the day.
oh no, the absolute early ones. This might even be the HHL threes. But the early ones, we're jamming on top of a tank and then duck. But the later ones actually had the streamers on the back to help you kind of get stabilize it in flight. It was like 20 or 30 meters. So it wasn't a whole
Ah,
lot. But
well,
it
today
was
I learned.
the more you know. Um, but no, as we've been kind of prattling over here about the theories of German anti-tank, we are seeing actually a fair number of 50 mils have been coming out here, and you know us, we always love having those stovepipes, and they've been achieving quite a bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to see right now. I'm sorry, please.
No, just a good amount of fire support, yeah, and Yamin is slowly but surely actually regaining the southern territory. Yabo did not manage to really fortify it well, so if the Gorno Strictly is coming in, he's going to have a bad time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there has been some 60 mils going the other direction and forced some debarkation, but this is supposed to be the high water mark of the 5th Romanian. So next 8.5 minutes are quite critical here, and I don't know if he's got the momentum right now.
Yeah, I mean, he completely lost his southern momentum, yeah, which is in such a critical time, just like as you said. It's gonna be pretty difficult. Yabo needs to open up another flank and try to make another big breakthrough. He has a big point income advantage right now, so he better bloody make the most of it. And it seems like that's what he's doing up north with all Granicieri. I
So,
probably said that wrong.
well, I just kind of turned into like an Italian C, so like Granicieri maybe? I don't know. But the point being here, though, too, is this is when the Lees come in, which doesn't sound too super scary until you realize that there's only a handful of Stokes coming the other direction from the Romanians, and that's when it actually gets a little bit rough.
Well, yeah, the Gorno Strike Lees get a whole heap of M3 Lees, and
Yes, they do.
they're pretty... In the fire support role, they're not that bad. I mean, they're like a really cheap, crappy Sherman with a light anti-tank gun for knocking out light armor. So they could actually prove to be pretty clutch in a match like this.
Right now, I'm checking out the sight lines in the 75 mil up north, because he's been engaging and doing decently well here. Nothing too super scary, but he's picking off a couple of infantry brigades, so that's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. And that thing does have 2 kilometer?
It
Does, yeah, because it
yes.
is a really powerful bloody gun.
But in the meantime, 820 Boston forced back. There has been finally, at long last, a member of the Romanian Air Force is up. And I think he's just really trying to figure. Oh, wait a second. Oh my God, that's right. The Granicieri are moderately scary in the defensive role, but on the attack, I struggle with them. I think just because they don't have necessarily the firepower necessary to really be up close and assaulting.
Yeah, at close range they definitely suffer, but having all those sniper rifles do mean at longer distance you can pin down enemy squads very quickly. But yeah, if he runs close to those Morsk Avtors, he's not gonna... Yeah, especially they have the bloody Tommy guns, he's not gonna have a good time at all.
Well, even the Pakotas over here too, because the Pakotas have a double DP. So again, long-range firepower, it's not going to be the easiest to kind of aggress against them.
Oh, no, you're definitely correct, yeah. This is really for Yabo, his probably best bet at making some sort of aggressive action, trying to push in this northern town. He's also trying to push, he's trying to more like stabilize the far northern hill, and he's going to lose that flag, I feel like. Oh, no, he's going to just barely hold it. He's been just barely holding that far north for so long now.
Yeah, and looking at that here, I think... Let's see. Are we going to get some of those leads? We got one lead on the field. We actually also have a ZIS anti-aircraft truck moving on in, which I think is a rather vital piece, especially if we want to try to continue to be, let's say, competitive on this northern flank. There's an awful lot of 25 mils that happened, a number of 25 mils already, so...
Yep.
That said, they are taking the crossroads, and they're forming up another... Oh no, they're putting a light vehicle rush over here to the south.
Oh yeah, they got the 222s. Oh yeah, they're gonna go really hard down south, yeah. It seems like Yabo's trying to actually regain an area. And it's honestly a good time for him to counterattack, as Yamin hasn't had the ability to really reinforce the southern side, mainly getting anti-tank guns into that forest. So Yabo, he does have an opportunity to regain some momentum down south if he can make his light armored tank, like
Rush.
the 222 rush work, and bring up some infantry to clear the forest, he'd be in a decent spot, I think. But not rushing the Stugs into the forest. No, no, that's bad move. Bad move. Don't do that.
I don't know that he heard you, but he certainly will hear the death cries of those crews. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be dangerous if one of us going to Shrikeys just maneuver forward. You know, an RPG grenade. But no. Oh. Yeah, Yabo was pretty lucky in that engagement. Yeah, Yamin really could have screwed him over.
Also another kind of push. You know, he's not even just encouraged just to stabilize the northern flank. He wants to push it back completely.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that I like this very much, but, I mean, we'll have to take a look on that to see how that goes. And we're fascinated to see this 222 push to the south. And the Stokes are charging it as well. Oh my gosh, this has never had a more beautiful shot than right this second. Here's 2 dead Stokes. That's 1.
It didn't even turn.
Oh my gosh, this hurts to watch a little bit of.
Oh.
It's 160 points, folks. That's an entire tick of income down the down the spout.
Yeah, and he only has 8 Stugs in his deck, so yeah, it goes 25% of his effective medium tanks.
Well, here's the mildly amusing thing now, is now that there's the 222s are here, they just kind of churn everything into dog meat.
Yep.
But they also don't do really well against any kind of, yeah, there we go. You see,
The anti-tank.
Yes, they're quite nervous right now, and justifiably so, and all 3 of them are going to die very soon.
Yep, Yamin managing to get in the anti-tank defenses in a nick of time, and that's really going to save the day for him down south, because that's pretty much screws Yabo's push here. So Yabo is really going to make his northern push work, and that doesn't seem to be the case. Yamin's pretty well dug in, just in the far north, as well as a regular northern town. So, yeah, this is... I say this is not looking good for Yabo, but he is getting a +2, +1, so he still has a bit of momentum.
Yeah, and with more Visoriais coming on in here too, I think there's a potential for a tiny bit of momentum. But that ranks up there at the same time with the Pioneer assaults that are up to the sort of far north, which actually I'm surprised he hasn't activated them just yet. I think it's just because he's focused on this push in the center.
Yeah. Where the micros going here. Just pushing through that like northern central position takes a lot of time because it's just building after building, town after town. It can work really well because, as you can see with the Stug and the 75mm, he can actually snipe units crossing the bridge, which denies reinforcements. So it is a worthwhile push to make, but it is costly and does take time.
Absolutely. You know, you said about not being able to cross the bridge at that point too. My first thought was, gee, I wonder how long it would take for the infantry itself to just kind of make an amphibious crossing. And then I thought to myself, the match would be over. We'd be done with the next cast for next week, and the guys still wouldn't have been able to get to the front lines. So.
Yeah, it's really quite dumb how it's not a like a bridge more towards the road, like spawn point, like a road leading over to the bridge, which you'd think I'd do that, but no.
Well, we'll tell you the 820 comes in and pins down the 75mm. Luckily enough for the Stoke, he's not been caught out here just yet. That's not to say he couldn't be caught out, because now there are a couple of Lees here, and those guys, again, 37mm, those are pop guns. The 75s, don't sneeze at them too much.
Yeah, the main thing about Lees, I mean, head-on fight individually, they're not going to have a great time against the Stugs, but the dual firepower does allow you to get a little bit better suppressive fire on them compared to just a more orthodox tank, so to speak.
Yeah, orthodoxy is kind of a funny word in American tactical doctrine, but we'll give that to the side for now. There's this gun to the south, by the way, which continues to pick off 222s with reckless abandon. and all 4 of them are now dead. And you can see by the burning pyres of smoke that either the Americans are coming to Somalia, or there's an awful lot of dead Romanian tanks down here. And I know which one, unfortunately, it seems to be in this particular cast here. That, we're kind of making it sound rather bleak. Like you said, he is still up, but we are going to be entering. We're entered into C phase, and so this is where things get ugly. I wouldn't be surprised to see a bunch of KV-85s coming on in. There's 5 Lees moving into the front, though.
Oh god, that is a decent amount of armor. And yeah, I mean, both sides don't have deep tank tabs in any sense of the imagination, but having 2 cards of essentially medium tanks compared to run is a pretty big deal in this case, especially with the C phase availability on those KV-85s.
Now, when you said, for 1 card of medium tanks, you're talking about the Shooks in this particular case,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Okay.
I know that people are going to be
yeah,
like,
I know,
oh
I
yeah,
know,
those
pedantic.
shotguns, and we get the pedantic, and yes, they're shotguns, but for the sake of keeping things simple in the tank tab, so I'm going to refer to them as tanks.
Exactly. Just make our lives easier.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how it should work.
Yeah. Yabo is doing a decent job up north. He has managed to break the far northern hill. So he really, in this sort of like balanced Maverick dynamic, he has like another, I'd say 4 to 5 minutes before the income really starts to bite him in the ass. So he needs to just try to secure his territory, preferably get a +2, and then just hold. But I don't feel like he's going to be able to get that +2 to score a directly rush. Or reinforcement column, I should say, is meant to get in. And if they can get into those buildings, they'll be in a decent defensive position. But that's a lot of pioneer assaults.
And that's what I was about to say, though, too, is that, yes, if they get in there, they're going to be tough to bring out. But with flames in there, too, that's just almost as terrifying.
Yeah. But maybe they can get a good anti-tank rifle shot on the 222 on the Stunk, but it doesn't seem to have happened. But here comes the Lee cavalry charge.
The charge is there. The effect is a little bit slow in happening. Mostly because the Lees can't see anything right now. The Pekota, of course, is hitting here, but that's it. Actually, I'm thinking about this over here from the Romanian side. This is where I bring in that the IAR bomber, the rocket plane.
Oh yeah.
And I rocket anywhere in that eastern part of that town. Because, it's a 16-8. Jeez, well, we're not even paying attention to the... Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, but, we're...
Flip back.
We're still getting that -2 bleed.
Yeah, it's exactly what Yabo needs. He needs that -2 if he wants a chance of winning this match. So he's kicking and streaming all the way into C phase here, but it's gonna be whether he can keep his momentum. And up north, it feels like he's going to lose it if his stug does go down, and that stug is probably gonna go down.
Well, the mildly amusing thing here is that the Shogue was going to take out the second Lee, I think, and there he goes down. Was going to take out the second Lee, and there was a loader knocked out crit, which I think honestly might have saved that entire Lee enforcement column. Yeah, I mean that I think honestly might have saved a little bit of the momentum to the north. Not all of it. It's still 16-8, but there's certainly a hefty chunk of it here.
Yeah. And we're still seeing a pretty big push here from Yabo in the northern central position before the Rosori eyes, but the Lees aren't coming in. There's a lot of them. It's just weird seeing this many Lees, but I do quite like it.
I have a certain soft spot for it myself. A 45 mil is not engaging. Oh my gosh, he keeps losing line of sight. This is terrible for him. Okay, wow, that was unexpected there, I suppose.
But Yabo just needs to hold for another 6 minutes or so, and he will have this in the bag. And I think Yat is definitely durable. He does have a good opportunity to get his victory. He still has, I mean, he's pushing down south a little bit still. If he can just keep at one flag by the crossroad outside of the forest, that's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to do any major breakthroughs at this point. He just needs to hold the territory which he has. And look, 17-7.
Yeah, but this is the whole weight of numbers bit, because while we haven't seen a whole lot of KV-85s just yet, indeed we actually haven't seen any KV-85s unless I'm blind, which is entirely possible. I have to agree with you. Down south, push just enough to keep your opponent honest, so that way he's got to divert some of his resources down there and hold the line.
Yeah, you just gotta hold at this point. Hold until relieved.
regrettably, a lot of his troops are getting a little bit thin, especially any of them that have any kind of anti-tank potential.
Yep, and a lot of Yamin's troops now are more of the beefier regular Gorna Streckley squads, not just the smaller 5 to 6 man teams. So they're going to be a little bit harder to take down.
Especially when they're rolling in with half a squad's worth of submachine gun fire.
Yes. Yeah, I was Gorna Streckley, so I really do love the Gorna Streckley divisional corps quite a lot, because they just have a really fun infantry loadout with all the mountain and naval troops. And you got, like, you know, crap tons of machine guns, crap tons of SMGs. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Forgive me for interrupting, but Yabo is going to rocket his own position.
Oh, nice.
So he's got to probably get some, you know, not surrenders, but at least pins. And he doesn't even get the full pin, as I might have anticipated. Wow, that is unfortunate right there.
It is definitely unfortunate. I do like how Yabo has been using his J88 quite frequently, just for the spotting potential. You really don't see people using spotting planes more in a passive sense. He's not suiciding over the enemy lines, but it's definitely given him some very good reconnaissance intel on the enemy troop positions, especially in a town fight, because it can be pretty difficult to spot infantry in towns.
Now, I know that the 75mm over here for the Romanians is more than able to kill the KV-85, but why is it that we just continue to see POS Lees and to a certain degree frail, you know, meat bags when you could be putting in a couple of tanks? I feel like we're missing an opportunity here.
I think I can easily explain this. You can get almost 3 lead tanks compared to 1 KV-85, because they're only 40 points each.
But he's used, I think, all but maybe one of his leads, because he put 5 in a reinforcement column, and he already lost a couple before that. I think he's put a couple down below. So just I'm trying to figure out the numbers here, and I feel like we're missing something someplace.
I think he's just using it as cheap fire support really right now. It's not a whole lot of stugs he has to worry about. So he just needs the cheap fire support to help secure the lines. I mean, he did lose a lot of him, and that's kind of sucks. He probably could have used a KV-85 in one of those tank fights, but he just needs to just get stuff on the field and just counterattack. I mean, as you've seen, he's just kind of desperately bringing in all the infantry to regain these positions, and it is actually down to a +1 bleed, so Yabo has managed to stabilize just a bit.
Just a bit, though. I think it's probably been pretty much the watchword this entire match is they've got to get just a bit of an advantage here, just a bit more territory, and right now Yabo still has been able to keep just a bit of an advantage over the entire match.
He is playing balance, so of course he's not going to have an early game initiative, but he's been holding pretty well considering. It does feel like the momentum is starting to go more into his favour, and a +1 bleed with 4 minutes left in the match. I mean, Yabo can actually take us back. That's enough time to push on through.
Well, like you said, the big thing here is if you're able to wait 3, 4, 5 minutes into that C phase, that's where the weight of numbers should tell. And I think maybe the reason we haven't seen a whole lot from Yamin over here until now is because he was just that far behind in terms of numbers.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. It does take like 5 to 10 minutes really for the rate of numbers for C-phase decks to really come into play against Maverick, and as you've seen up north, it is definitely coming into effect. Yamin's making some rather fantastic territorial gains here, almost getting the opposing flag. He just has to go through 2 2-2-2s and a stug, which does is kind of annoying. There's no real anti-tank up here. And
a 25mm and defilade, so good freaking luck on that one.
There's only so much they can shoot, and he has a lot of infantry.
There might be only so much he can shoot, and there's a lot of infantry. But you still got to churn through them. You have 3 minutes. You're on the clock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of time. I think down south would be a decent opportunity for Yamin to push, but Yabo managing to grab another flag down south with the Granatieri, and that's going to be a 1 minute bleed, and this could be it.
This could be it, honestly. That's a little FU flag where you're like, oh, my opponent's left this unopened, and you're like, there we go.
Yeah. It's one of those really annoying flag positions which is out in the middle of the road, so the only way you can hold it is by having a cheap infantry squad just standing in the middle of a field. It's not very tactical for them, but the strategic gains are very important.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? Right now, it's back to a 14-10. So we still on our knife edge. This might actually be one of those things that we get right down to the end, and then that's when things go really, really pear-shaped for one side. But if this is Yabo, it's been a hell of a game. And this is Yamin. It's a bit of a heartbreak that he wasn't able to kind of bring this back here in this C phase.
Yeah, it's only 1 minute 30 left, and he just needs to hold on to every single flag which he can get. Down south, I think Yamin is going to flip one of his flags over here, a sneaky little infantry maneuver. And yeah, at this point of Yabo, you're just kind of doing desperate moves to just hold on to whatever territory you still have control over.
Well, the funny thing is, if you look to the northern side, there's a Gordon Strelke and a Superi, excuse me, getting shellacked by pretty much everything and anything that he can kind of loft that direction. So one squad's down. Because the Gordon Strelke is probably going to be able to theoretically take out. No, he's not going to be.
Nope.
That's unfortunate.
He's gonna get bailed out of the building. The 25mm does not manage to get any fire down. But the Gordon Strelke do get pinned. This is pretty much all coming down to his northern flag right now. He has no actual frontline units. So it's just the 222 doesn't, hold frontline because it's a recon. So he just needs some infantry to just hold these bloody flags. Oh, it's a 13-11.
Oh yeah, because we're having some small pickups here and there. The 222 down to the south, for example, picks up that flag. Or at least picks up the flag by absence of his opponent. And I think that might be all she wrote.
That could be it. I mean, you're seeing just some very desperate bombing runs here from Yamin to try and knock him out. That's probably going to be killing the Rosioris. And those two flags are going to come back under Yamin's control, bringing it back to a rather desperate 12-12. This is getting pretty nuts here. I feel like Yabo is going to take us just due to how much of a sliver Yamin is holding on to us, and it's not a lot. And up north, I think, is this red's going to flip over. Here we go.
Shockingly enough, we finally saw the first airplane death, I think, of the entire match over here, 32 minutes in, which is kind of just...
Hurricane was shot down earlier.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like up north, Hurricane got killed.
Oh, okay.
So, sorry to rain on your parade.
Well, I think you rock me like a hurricane, so... Which, folks, by the way, by the time this cast comes out, please do join me in wishing our fellow caster Rang a very, very happy birthday. He's an old man now, so we'll leave it at that. But no, in the meantime, we had to celebrate over here with an unfortunate defeat for those most noble of 126th troops here, but KD extremely close. I think, honestly, that was that last second pickups here or there, and that was about it.
Yeah, it was pretty much it. Yeah, I was getting pretty tight towards the end. I mean, very close in the KD as we're seeing. It's really could have gone anyone's game, but Yabo just managing to get those efficient trades and hold on to... It's not just holding on to the territory, but getting some very sneaky flag captures and some very vital moments.
Well, and just kind of speaking about how vital those 75 mils are, not a lot of standouts on the one side over here for the Russians, but if you go over to the losses immediately, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So paying himself off rather well. A couple of BT7s, a couple of, setup positions. Really, really solidly done there. A 222 doing very, very well for himself. I'm not going to offend the Romanian people by attempting to say any of these names.
The other 75.
Except for Walker. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the 75 mils, I think this victory was on the back of the 75 mil.
Yeah, we didn't really notice them too much, but they are very effective units. Not just for their long-range anti-tank capabilities, but you can use them like a this gun as artillery, and just their fire support capabilities as well in that regard can be pretty useful, especially as we short towards the end, like trying to suppress those Gorner Strecklys. And they never really got counter-batteried or really threatened, he just kept him back and he didn't have to worry about getting blown up with them. There's no long-range tanks to counter, and that's one of the big problems with 126 is the lack of armor. I mean, T-34, it's why you see T-34 76 spam divisions a lot, because they're just such good bloody tanks.
Exactly. But folks, I think that's going to do it just about now for us today. Unless you have any final thoughts, sir.
No.
Well, folks, in that case, then, until next time, I'm Conolberg.
I'm Rangaroo. Take it easy.